You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Lohr, and as chair, I now call to order the meeting of the directors of the New York State Urban Development Corporation, doing business as Empire State Development, for this Thursday, January 16th, 2025. Before we get going, as I always do, I'd like to first have the board members introduce themselves so I could recognize a quorum. Then I'll ask the staff members with us around the table today to introduce themselves. So board members first.
Hope Knight, President, CEO.
Mike.
Michael Rosen, member of the board.
Rob Simpson, member of the board.
Lorraine Harris, member of the board.
And Francine.
Hi, I'm Francine Del Monte. I'm glad I'm here, Kevin, today. It's not such a great day.
Well, sorry to hear, but we're glad you made it.
Got an earmuffs right next to her.
So
That tells you something.
I will recognize we have a quorum to conduct our business, and I know Benson will be joining us shortly. John is under the weather today, and Hilda wasn't able to join us. So starting with Kevin, you want to introduce yourselves around the room?
Good morning, Kevin Eunice, COO, ESD.
Noah Raymond, Chief of Staff.
Arden Sokolow, EVP Real Estate.
Liz Luskin, EVP Small Business and Technology Development.
Joe Taswell, New York City Regional Director.
Simone Bethune, Loans and Grants.
Kirsten Eiler, Vice President Program and Operations for Connect All.
Becky, Senior Director, Entrepreneurship Assistance Centers Program.
John Evan Hornsby, President, Empire State Market Corporation.
Tony Delissio, Controller, Deputy CFO.
Ray Orlando, Chief Financial Officer.
Elisa Hopkeiser, Director of Compliance.
Joshua Bloodworth, General Counsel.
Ray Talabayos, SVP, Capital Access.
Benson Martin, Designee DFS.
All right, good, great timing, Benson. Excellent. All right, well, thank you, everybody. And so we'll go forward now with our agenda. I'd like to remind staff members joining us remotely today to please mute your audio until you are ready to speak. The public was given an opportunity to attend today's meeting and to provide comments on the agenda items. I'll state for the record that we do not have any members of the public here with us, and we also gave them an opportunity to provide comments on all the agenda items. And by noon yesterday, we have not received any comments from the public regarding any of the items on today's agenda. As always, the directors have received the written materials in advance and are, of course, are free to ask questions at any time during the presentations by staff. At this time, I will ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I have two items, item 3AA and 3AB, which both pertain to Center State CEO that I'll recuse myself from.
Great, thank you, Rob. And I will identify them as we get to them on the agenda. Benson?
And DFS will recuse itself from the Evergreen project.
And that is item Roman numeral number 7B. So when we get to those items again, we'll reiterate your recusals. With those conflicts noted for the record, the first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes of December 19th, 2024 that have been circulated. I will move them. Lorraine seconds them. Does anybody have any comments, revisions, or additions? Hearing none. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The minutes are approved. So now I'd like to hand it over to Hope Knight, our President and CEO, for her President's report.
Great. Thank you, Kevin, and good morning, directors. Happy New Year, and I hope you all enjoyed the holidays and that your 2025 is off to a great start. With the new year comes the start of a new legislative session, and our team has been working closely with the governor's administration over the past few months in preparation. On Tuesday, the governor delivered her State of the State address and outlined her vision for New York State. This morning, I'd like to give you a highlight of some of the economic development initiatives from her agenda. Under the governor's leadership, New York State has been promoting shovel readiness to attract and grow strategic industries. Programs like Fast New York help to accelerate the process. The governor has proposed expanding the Fast New York program by launching a new round that prioritizes semiconductor manufacturing and its supply chain. Additionally, a new initiative called Power Up would award $300 million to proactively develop power-ready sites, further expediting the process between site selection and grand opening. Governor Hochul has also proposed extending the Excelsior Jobs program by 10 years, recognizing the success of the program in supporting job creation and retention in today's highly competitive environment. The governor's plan also recognizes the needs of small innovation businesses transitioning from incubation to independence. Catalyst New York would enable small businesses to have completed a New York State incubator program to be eligible for personal income tax benefits to reduce the cost of hiring, allowing startups to hire more seamlessly during critical expansion phases. Another challenge for small businesses is access to capital. The successful Link Deposit Program helps small businesses borrow at more affordable rates and continues to generate strong demand. In response, Governor Hochul has proposed Link, the low-interest capital program, an expansion of the Link Deposit Program to support hundreds of additional small businesses. Under Governor Hochul, New York State continues to promote regional economic growth. This year, under the State of the State proposal, the regional councils will be refocused towards transformation or transformative projects that serve as high-impact economic anchors. Projects like cultural venues, waterfront revitalization, mixed-use developments can maximize the benefits through the REDC initiative. The governor is also dedicating special attention to downtown Albany, which has struggled in its post-pandemic economic recovery. The proposed $400 million investment in New York's capital city will help revitalize Albany's urban core. This includes $200 million to develop strategies and projects targeting all facets of community redevelopment, from public safety to quality of life, to repurposing vacant and underused buildings and reviving commercial corridors. Additionally, $150 million will be committed to renovating and upgrading the New York State Museum and its exhibits. These are just some of the proposals outlined in the governor's State of the State. More details will be announced in the coming days and weeks as the governor unveils her executive budget. Together, they represent the latest piece of the governor's vision for economic development in New York State, one that invests in key industries, promotes job creation, and utilizes regionally focused strategies. The next few months will be busy for ESD, but our talented team here will be able to rise to the challenge. Together, we'll focus our efforts on building a stronger, smarter, more equitable New York. Thank you, and that concludes my President's report.
Great. Thank you, Hope. Lorraine and I had the pleasure of being with Hope last Friday on Long Island and Monday night in Albany and Tuesday at the State of the State in Albany. As always, Hope is covering every inch of the state, so great. Thank you. Hope, I have two questions for you, if you know. I saw the governor also proposed a new $100 million infrastructure program for mixed-use housing projects outside the city of New York. Will that likely fall in ESD's lap to administer, or will that go to HCR?
I think it's probably us, yes.
Is that Arden saying that?
Sort of.
Well, Arden needed a few more things on the plate. But is that, it will come under real estate?
Yeah.
So, great.
It's likely to come.
Likely.
We'll see where.
Where it gets slotted in the budget, but yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those who know, the governor will introduce a budget Tuesday, I think, of next week. So the State of the State, the proposals get mentioned, but all the details usually get inserted into the budget, so I guess we'll know more next week. So that was one. And with the REDCs, I think it's great if, we try to move to bigger projects. Again, I know sometimes, I know, all the projects are important that we do, but regardless of the language that the governor puts in, I think it would be helpful for the board members when staff is, identifying and presenting the various REDC projects, that if they could always identify how many jobs are being created. Because I remember when the first round of the REDCs, everything was about jobs, jobs, jobs. And I know sometimes, we have other criteria that we meet, but it would be good to hear how many construction jobs, if it's a construction type of project, and how many permanent jobs are being done. So I would just ask staff to be cognizant of that.
Incorporate that.
I'm sorry?
We'll incorporate that into the
exactly. That would be
presentation.
great.
Yeah.
Good. Great. Anybody else have any questions for Hope? All right. Thank you very much, Hope. So we'll continue with the agenda and our corporate actions. We have Ray Salaberios, our Senior VP for the Division of Small Business and Technology Development, and he has a capital access presentation for us.
I guess I'll start with the cannabis.
I'm sorry?
Since I'm going cannabis first. But I'll do whichever you decide.
Oh, yeah, it was an adult use
That's
retail.
me.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to you, sir. Good morning, directors. New York State's Conditional Adult Use Dispensary Grant Program was created to assist active card licensees with startup costs related to launching and operating a retail cannabis dispensary in New York. The program provides grants to cover essential startup costs, including commercial rent, point-of-sale system purchases.
On his belt pack.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm on now.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm not used to being mic'd up, so I gotta bear with me. So the point-of-sale systems purchases, inventory tracking systems, and insurance costs. The program aims to assist new retail businesses in each region of the state as New York continues to move forward towards a thriving cannabis market. ESD will establish a first-come, first-served model for the evaluation of applicants. The award range for grants will be a minimum award of $10,000 per grantee and a maximum award of $30,000 per grantee. Applications must include a minimum of $10,000 in eligible expenses to qualify for award as defined in the program guidelines. Staff has prepared the guidelines for the implementation and administration of the program. The guidelines set the criteria for determining eligibility of applicants. The guidelines also provide the program and submission requirements and describe methods of grant disbursement. It is expected that the guidelines may be amended from time to time to address specific program needs. Thank you, and may I answer any questions as needed.
Got two questions for you, Ray. The overall cannabis program, that's not under ESD, right?
No.
What department is the Office of Cannabis under? Is it just an executive agency, or is it part of a department?
It's an executive agency.
Executive agency.
OGS
Technically?
does some of its administrative functions, but yes, it's an independent agency.
But what this program, this is a grant program sort of under the auspices of like workforce development, or is this to give them capital to help create their businesses?
We're supporting them in the grant-making process, that's basically.
I know, but what will grants be used for? For their actual dispensaries, or?
For the dispensaries, for licensees.
Got it.
Yes.
Got it. And it'll be income-based, so this is an effort to help smaller or,
This is a
startup type of?
This is an effort to help the licensees who've had some time between getting a license and getting open and had to spend capital to wait to get open.
Got it. And how big of a program is it? How much money are we going to be, is it like a $5 million program that's going to be available? And what will be the average size grant?
Well, it's a $5 million program. We expect the average grant to be somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000, depending on the receipts. It should be relatively simple for the applicants to apply. All they have to do is provide their receipts for expenses that they've incurred in operating their dispensary.
Got it. So we'll administer that program, but all the other stuff dealing with cannabis will be done by the
Yes.
Office of Cannabis
Management.
Good. Got out of Grand Central this morning and boom, got
Yeah,
hit with
I
a
know.
whole lot of
Me
good,
too.
a whole lot of weed smell. So interesting that our first item on the agenda is cannabis. So very good. So anybody else have any questions for Ray? All right, so I will move it. Michael seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. And we had no comments from the public on that. Since Ray did such a great job on the first item, Ray is also now going to lead our spotlight presentation, and it's going to be on capital access from his Division of Small Business and Technology Development.
Thank
Ray,
you,
the
Mr.
floor is
Chairman.
yours.
Thank you very much. So this presentation is on our capital access team. Basically, our team mission is to focus on providing access to capital and technical assistance to small businesses in New York State. The team's mission includes developing, managing, and promoting financial programs that support business growth, especially for underserved and disadvantaged businesses. Programs are funded through both state and federal funds. The State Small Business Credit Initiative is a driving force for a lot of what we're doing in this day and age. ESD was awarded $501.2 million, and the Capital Access team manages a cool $282.2 million. So I want to go over some of the programs that we manage for the Capital Access Debt Program. Before I start, I have to note that the SSBCI programs, we partner with Community Development Financial Institutions, CDFIs. They're our trusted partners, and we rely on them to help us get capital into the hands of small businesses who predominantly are socially and economically owned individual businesses. Our Capital Access program, which provides portfolio insurance for participating lenders, designed to increase financial opportunities for New York State small businesses. All the programs, the data is going to be from January 2024 to September 2024. So for CAP, we supported 114 loans, totaling $1.8 million. And 90% of these loans have been to steady-owned businesses. Keep in mind, or I should say that the average loan size is $22,000. So these are very small micro loans to small businesses who have very difficult time accessing capital. Our contractor financing program provides funding to contractors in need of working capital to deploy and execute federal, state, and local government-related contracts via participating lenders, many of them who are CDFIs. We also have two minority depository institutions, Carver Bank and Ponce Bank, working with us. To date, the contract finance program has supported 78 contracts with a total volume of $17.2 million. Average loan size is $204,000. So we've been working with the MTA, with the various airport projects, and various New York State agencies, getting these funds into the hands of the contractors who are working on those projects. Our bonding guarantee program provides access to bid bonds, payments, and performance bonds for contractors performing on publicly funded projects throughout New York State via participating surety companies. To date, 5 bonds totaling $11.89 million, 95% SETI, $2.4 million is the average bonding size. I'd be remiss if I didn't just highlight that we've done over $100 million in bonding in over 10 years. And it's really been done by one person, that's Wei Min Trang. So I know she's here, so I want to make sure I highlight that she's done a tremendous job, her personally, doing these bonding projects.
Where is she?
Wei Min?
Oh, thank you very much. Okay. Ray, I'm going to interrupt you right here.
Sure.
So, with both the contractor and the bonding, so I assume smaller companies, again, they don't have the ability or the access to that, and that prevents them from maybe bidding on jobs that, whether it's MTA or others. And so can we do this quickly so they could be responsive to those procurements? Is that sort of the goal here, to level the playing field for these folks and to give them an opportunity to bid on these jobs and projects?
Absolutely. What we're doing also is to facilitate it. We're telling these contractors, you should get pre-approved. You should go to our lenders now, and subject to a contract, you'll get approved. We're working closely with many of the terminals at the airport. We're actually highlighting Terminal 8, which has started our pre-approval process. We're going to get all the contractors working in Terminal 8 to come to our lenders, provide their financials, and we're going to say to you, either you're pre-approved, subject to you having a valid contract. So we're trying to facilitate that. At times it takes a while for the contractors to gather all the data they need, but I think this way puts them ahead of the curve by coming to us when they're ready, and we'll go ahead and pre-approve them.
That makes sense. Great, thank you.
So we have our New York Forward Loan Fund. Provides flexible low-interest loans for small businesses via an easy online application portal for loans of up to $150,000. To date, we've closed 246 loans, a total volume of $20 million. Average loan is $78,000. Again, I have to take a moment, though, and really highlight and appreciate all the work of the regional offices. Our regional offices have been tremendous partners for us. We go to them. I will have to say that I've called the regional officers, directors, and said to them at the last minute, can you get a room full of people for me to go up there and talk to them? And they do it without hesitation. Their staff has been accommodating to my team. My team will make it a focus to go to the offices on a regular basis, work with them. Each one of my team members is assigned a regional office. I'm only bringing this up because I got to highlight the tremendous work that they've done to help us do more work in upstate New York. So I just wanted to bring that to everyone's
Is there a
attention.
slide on the New York Forward?
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, wow. There you go, New York Forward Loan Fund. And then we got the Small Business Revolving Loan Fund, which provides shorter-term microloans and loans typically under $250,000. CDFIs offer a wide range of products, including short-term loans and lines of credit to startups, subcontracts, and traditional small businesses. To date, 158 loans with a total volume of $40 million has been approved by CDFI. 77% of those have gone to social and economically disadvantaged individuals, and the average loan size is $219,000.
So, and these are all federal dollars that then we...
The small business, yes, and both programs are being funded by the State Small Business Credit Initiative.
All right, so far, we help small businesses either with grants or with bonding performance issues and with microloans.
Yes.
And all of those are done with federal dollars administered through...
Everything, yes, basically, yes. Everything's done with the SSBCI capital.
Everything we've mentioned so far.
Right, so far.
There's other programs in the state.
All right, thank you. See, if I don't ask you now, by the time you're done your presentation, I'll forget my question.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. So I want to focus on now what we're doing for 2025. So thanks to the board of directors, thank you. You approved a New York State Guarantee Program, supports participating New York State regional banks, community banks, and credit unions with loan guarantees for loans for up to $500,000. So far, the initial response has been tremendous. We've been inundated with banks calling us saying, how do we sign up? Really focusing on small banks in upstate New York, Solvay Bank, MBT Bank, and really work with them to try to move forward with this initiative. Again, focusing our efforts and trying to make sure that upstate New York has access to this capital. The Airport Concession Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program, ACDBE, provides credit enhancements and direct lending capital to participate banks and community development financial institutions to provide loans to DOT-certified ACDBE firms at New York City airports. Again, I have to stop and just say this. Really, I really appreciate it, and I'm honored to be working on this, but this is Hope Knight's initiative. When Hope Knight started at Greater Jamaica, she pushed the Port Authority, pushed the local officials to let them know how important this is. So we have started up a $50 million fund, which is going to change the dynamics in New York City airports. We're going to have more minority and women-owned businesses participating in this lucrative business. The airport concession business is a lucrative business. We want to make sure that we have our fair share of individuals who can participate in the program. Our Main Street Capital Program provides term loans of up to $100,000 to startups and early-stage businesses, and we're working strictly right now with Pursuit Lending. We've done 17 loans, $72,000 average loan. 75% of that money has gone to businesses north of the Mario Cuomo Bridge. Rob, you're going to love this. We're working upstate. We want to make sure that we focus a lot of our efforts in upstate New York. New York City is doing great. We have a lot of participation in New York City, but we got to focus more on what we're doing upstate New York. Our Small Business Revolving Loan Participation Program utilizes SBL, Small Business Revolving Loan Capital. ESD is partnering with Inclusive, a leading network of credit unions, in a first-of-its-kind loan participation program. Never done before in New York State. ESD is providing $5 million SSBCI capital to leverage $14 million in matching funds from participating CDFI credit unions to provide low-interest capitals to make loans to small businesses that cannot secure credit from traditional financing sources. So we are participating for 35% of these loans. We're recruiting the CDFI credit unions throughout the state. And again, the reception for this has been tremendous. People are really excited about it, and we expect to do big things with this one. Some existing programs, the Excelsior Link Deposit Program, Hope mentioned it earlier on, the lowers the cost of borrowing for businesses. Oh, slide, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself here, I'm sorry, folks. Feel like Bob Barker a little bit, right? So, the Excelsior Link Deposit Program lowers the cost of borrowing for businesses by providing an interest rate reduction on term loans through commercial banks statewide. Eligible businesses can receive up to a 2 to 3% interest rate reduction for projects to expand their operations or improve competitiveness. As you can see, 542 applications have been approved. 283.8 million approved deposit, assisting $414 million in projects, creating or retaining an estimated 2,847 jobs. So we can say the Link Deposit Program is definitely working. The next one is our JDA Agriculture Loan Fund, provides low-cost financing to agriculture businesses and related industries in New York State, supports rural development and agribusiness expansion to small businesses that cannot access typical sources of capital, providing low-interest loans for equipment, facilities, working capital, and really think of strengthening New York's agriculture sector, driving economic growth in rural areas. So far today, we've done 52 loans, supporting 43.6 million in projects as of 2024. Click. Our Community Development Financial Institution Fund, we're in partnership with the Department of Financial Services to expand access to banking. This program provides grants to CDFIs to support access to safe and affordable banking services in historically underserved and low-income communities. To note, according to data, 5.9% of New York State households do not have bank accounts, right? That's higher than the average of the country of 4.5, and lower than New York City's average is 9.4%. Right? So during that last round of our program, more than 35,000 unbanked individuals received one-on-one technical assistance. The second round of this program is currently underway, and we report at the end of February. To date, we've helped 1,000 New Yorkers open bank accounts to banks throughout the state. So we are making an effort to try to get individuals who use check cashiers to get away from check cashiers and start using banks to do their deposits. So far it's working. We expect bigger and better things. Really happy with this program, very proud as someone who grew up using only check cashiers. So for me, this hits home knowing that we are helping people who are now can get bank accounts and get into the financial system.
Is it, any type of residence, or is it like sole proprietors and small businesses?
These are individuals. So we're really focusing on the
But is it a
individuals.
business? It's just or their personal bank
Their
accounts?
personal bank accounts, right. What we're trying to do is get them into the Main Street financial system. Right. Many of them are small business owners, but basically we're working with these individually and telling them, you should open a bank account. I can't tell you how many small businesses we found out, sole proprietors who don't have a bank account. And so I'm not sure how they're doing business, but we're changing that dynamic.
Got it.
Our CDFI Assistance Program provides annual grants to CDFIs to support their capacity building, as well as provide access to capital and technical assistance to New York State small businesses. During the most recent program lending, ending May 2024, 20,843 businesses were provided one-on-one technical assistance and financial assistance. Additionally, more than $119 million in loans were dispersed to small businesses. A new grant program will be launched in 2025, so stay tuned, CDFIs to apply. And finally, our SSBCI Technical Assistance Program is a $5 million initiative, and I got to click. Sorry, folks. SSBCI Technical Assistance Program provides funding for eligible technical assistance providers to offer legal, accounting, and financial advisory assistance to eligible small businesses by helping them navigate the access to capital. Right? That's the hardest challenge we have, is getting people through the system. Right? Telling folks you need your financial statements, you need tax returns, this is what you need. This program is going to help these folks navigate through that, and then we're going to put them in direct contact with the CDFI lenders. So we're going to marry them basically with our CDFIs and tell our CDFIs, let's start making more loans than we're doing now. The goal of the program is to support social and economically disadvantaged individual-owned businesses, very small businesses, small and medium-sized manufacturing enterprises, addressing specific barriers with a focus on financial literacy, which is key for us, legal readiness, and access to credit. Having lawyers help them with their documentation is going to be key to the program also. On December 19, 2024, the Board of Directors approved the authorization of work with 8 technical assistance providers through New York State to help accomplish the program's mission. The program will launch in the first quarter of 2025. Again, we've been working with our entrepreneur assistance centers, great partners, New York State Association of Chambers of Commerce, the Independent Banks Association of New York State, small business development centers throughout the state to implement many of the programs I have just highlighted. And these are the folks that do all the hard work. That's the team of the Capital Access. We both have offices in New York City and in Albany. So I'm sitting here, but my team does a tremendous amount of work, diligently working tirelessly to try to get these programs out, answer the call, trying to help New York State businesses one business at a time. Thank you, and thank you much for the presentation.
I got one last question for you. When it comes to the loans, do we measure the performance of these loans, and what's the default rate, and are the folks that we're helping get these loans, are they largely repaying them
Yes.
and being current with them, or do we have issues or problems there?
No, none at all. It's funny how the industry says that city-owned businesses historically are riskier. So we look at our contractor financing program, right? We had a prior one, was called the Bridge Success. We did over $384 million in contracts, $40 million in loans, less than 1% default rate.
Wow.
Right? We have our Capital Access program that did over $154 million in loans. These are $22,000 loans, $30,000 loans, $50,000 loans, less than 2% default rate. So when they say that city-owned businesses are risky, I always say, show me. Why are you saying that? Is it just something we want to talk about, or do we have statistics to back that? So to answer your question, yes, we have a very low default rate. We do a very good job in making sure that we prepare these folks to get this access to capital.
Right. Thank you. Any other board members have any questions for Ray? All right. And then something I shared with Ray last month. I think one of the challenges with all these great programs that come under your division there is getting the word out about getting the word out to small businesses, because you might have saw it. Newsday did a story in late November of all these small, mostly minority businesses on Long Island talking about how hard it is to get access capital with the banks. I'm reading it, I'm like, they don't know Ray Salaberios. And, how do we help these folks? And so, I think, again, continuing to get the word out, because I think there's still a lot of small businesses that have no idea that they could access capital, grants, bond enhancements, loans. And so I think the more we get the word out, as you said, you work with the regional offices, which is great. I think the regional offices need to be working with all the local chambers as well, to share this information. Because it's good stuff that you're doing. And it's impacting lives and communities, so it's pretty cool.
Thank you.
All right. Well done, Ray. All right. You can stay, Ray. You don't have to leave.
I got small business calling me.
Very good. I won't take it personally.
Well played, Ray.
Okay. So we will now continue with the agenda for the regional projects section. And I'm going to remind people to please have your phones on mute unless you are talking. We're hearing some feedback before. We're going to start in Western New York. We have 4 items, and Karen?
Good morning. We lost you there for a second. I'm going to start with the first of 3 projects that I'm going to present. The directors are requested to approve a general project plan modification and an additional grant of up to $2.6 million to Heart of the City Neighborhoods, Inc., an experienced local not-for-profit organization currently administering ESD's Commercial Districts program in the Kensington Bailey District on the east side of Buffalo. The requested grant will support capital and consultant costs for a 3rd round of ESD's already approved East Side Commercial Building Stabilization Program. Administration of the first two rounds of the stabilization program had been awarded to Preservation Buffalo Niagara, another local not-for-profit entity, but as they have recently experienced capacity issues, ESD now seeks, as part of this amendment, to designate Heart of the City neighborhoods as the local program administrator for the third round of the stabilization program. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? We have no comments from the public. I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed? None? The motion carries. Karen, continue.
Thank you. The directors are requested to approve a $549,000 grant to the developers of 211 Main Street, Enterprise Lumber and Silo LLC, from round 5 of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative Program for the selective demolition and full renovation of a dilapidated structure once part of a former lumber yard in the city of North Tonawanda into a much-needed professional Class A downtown office space. The total project cost is $4,643,350. The finished structure does not use any fossil fuels, is entirely sustainable, and features several green initiatives. The project was completed in October of 2024, and the owners of Enterprise Lumber and Silo LLC moved their respective companies into the building as the first tenants. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Good. Any questions for Karen? None? No comments from the public. I will move it. Francine wants to second it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? The motion carries. Karen, continue.
Thank you. The directors are requested to approve a $1 million grant to the developers Wood and Brooks Properties LLC from round 12 of the Regional Council Capital Fund as reimbursement for a portion of construction and renovation costs towards the mixed-use redevelopment of the historic Wood and Brooks Piano Factory complex. The project cost for the commercial portion of the project was $7.1 million, with a total project cost of $23 million. The redevelopment of the decades-long vacant factory complex resulted in 55 residential rental units plus first-floor commercial space that includes the Plan Room, which is Construction Trades Incubator in partnership with Construction Exchange of Western New York. As the project is now complete and the property is fully available for rent and the Construction Trades Incubator is active, ESD is now recommending that the board authorize disbursement of grant funds toward this project. And I will note that it's estimated that there were approximately 85 construction jobs during the property rehab and renovations, and there will be property management jobs for both residential and commercial space that totals 3 full-time employees and 2 part-time employees.
Great.
Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Karen. Any questions for Karen? None? No comments from the public. I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? The motion carries. Thank you, Karen. We'll stay with Western New York and Paul Tromolo.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning, directors. Directors are asked to amend a general project plan and provide an additional grant of $35 million to the Central Terminal Restoration Corporation towards the long-term restoration and adaptive reuse of the National Register listed Buffalo Central Terminal Complex on Buffalo's east side, Buffalo's former New York Central Railroad Station. In June of 2022, Governor Hochul announced $54 million in state funds towards this project as part of the Regional Revitalization Partnership. In November of that year, you all authorized the first $20 million of that $54 million used towards design, construction management, and an initial program of rehab, which is currently underway. The corporation's design plans now include subsequent rounds of rehab anticipated to begin in late spring of this year, indicating they are ready to receive the remaining $34 million of regional revitalization partnership funds, as well as a subsequently awarded downtown revitalization initiative grant of $1 million. The large majority of the funds are targeted towards the main public concourse of the terminal to allow it to begin to support limited public events again, with the DRI funds going to enhance outdoor gathering and event spaces at the complex. And with that, I'll answer any questions.
All right. Are we approving the DRI grant too, or are we just approving the $34 million?
You're approving them both under one action, $34 million of regional revitalization and $1 million of DRI.
And with the original 20, that's how you get to 55.
Correct.
Got it. All right. Thank you, Paul. Any questions for Paul? None? No comments from the public? I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None? The motion carries. Thank you, Paul. Move over to the Finger Lakes. What floor were we on in the other building?
37.
37? We didn't hear the sirens as much at 37 feet high. We hear the sirens a little bit more, but these offices are much nicer.
A lot quieter in the last couple of weeks.
Exactly.
Yeah,
The
right.
sirens pass quicker because of the traffic.
Oh, because of congestion pricing? Oh, so they're flying down this road?
Yeah.
Oh, very good. We'll move over to the Finger Lakes, and Laura Fox O'Sullivan has 2 items for us.
Thank you, Chairman Law, and thank you, directors. Good morning. First, we are asking the directors to approve a $1.5 million capital grant to the City of Rochester from the Regional Council Capital Fund Round 6. This grant supports a portion of the cost for infrastructure improvements to the 4,800 linear feet East Main Street corridor from North Goodman Street to Culver Road, a project totaling $12.2 million. Enhancements included reconstructed pavements and curbs, LED lighting, enhanced landscaping, widened sidewalks, side street benches, planters, and gateway signage. The project improves connectivity between southeast neighborhoods and downtown Rochester by improving bicycling, walking, bus access, and driving lanes. This project is consistent with the Finger Lakes Regional Economic Development Council's plan to address transportation barriers and to invest in community and industrial development and infrastructure. Any questions on this project?
Any questions for Laura? Hearing none, no comments from the public. So I will move it. Michael seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None? The motion carries. Next, Laura.
All right, thank you. Yep. So we are asking the directors to approve a combined capital grant of $5,276,000 to NextCore Inc. from the Regional Council Capital Fund Rounds 4 and 13, as well as from the Regional Economic and Community Assistance Program, known as RECAP, awarded through the Regional Revitalization Partnership. So this is 3 funds altogether. The grant supports a portion of the cost for acquisition, construction, and renovation to expand NextCore's Business Accelerator Incubator by an adjacent 27,000 square feet to meet the increased demand from local startup companies for NextCore support services. NextCore Business Accelerator Incubator is located on the 6th floor of the historic Sibley Building in downtown Rochester and has been designated by New York State as a regional technology development center. The new space will offer shared facilities for office space, labs, event, and community space to foster growth of the overall startup ecosystem. The total project cost is projected to be essentially $10.7 million and will be financed by the building owner, philanthropic donations, and 10% grantee equity. The organization accepted a combined award offer of $5,276,000 in November 24. The grantee has incurred expenses to reach the first milestone for disbursement, and ESD is now recommending that the board authorize the release of the project funds. Do we have any questions on this project?
Yeah, Laura, you said 3 funding pots. I got REDC and recap. What's the third one?
So I was unclear there. So it was 2 funding pots, but 2 different rounds. So it was essentially leftover earmarked funds from their first, when they acquired the floor years ago. So that was round 4, additional dollars left over from that. That was 1.85 million. And then in round 13, they received additional funds for this expansion because they've outgrown their space. And then in the last year, we also awarded $1 million from recap through the Regional Revitalization Partnership. So it's 2 pots, but in the one pot is 2 different rounds, round 4 and round 13, if that makes sense.
Nope, I got it. Thanks for the
It's a
clarification.
very important project, priority project for our region.
Oh, I got it, but thanks for the clarification. Anybody else have a question for Laura? Hearing none, no comments from the public, so I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you, Laura. Let's move over to Central New York. We have 2 items from Dan Kalinsky, our regional director up there.
Good morning, Chairman, and good morning, Directors. Today, you are being asked to approve a Round 7 Regional Council Capital Fund grant of $283,000 to the Cayuga County Industrial Development Agency to be used for a portion of the cost of infrastructure upgrades to the pump station at 4 Eagle Drive, Aurelius, New York, in Cayuga County. Additional capacity is required to meet the demands of the industrial park's 2 current tenants, which are both dairy processing manufacturers, and to attract additional business investments to the park. The total project cost is expected to be approximately $1,834,234, with 58% contributed by organizational equity and 27% contributed by a federal EDA grant. ESD participation in this project is 15% of total project costs, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for Dan? None. No comments from the public. I will move it. Lorraine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Dan, continue.
Next, you are being asked to approve a Round 4 Downtown Revitalization Initiative grant of $420,000 to Huhtamaki Incorporated to be used for a portion of the cost of machinery and equipment at 100 State Street, Fulton, New York, and Oswego County. Huhtamaki is a global manufacturing company specializing in consumer packaging products like paper cups and containers. The total project is expected to be approximately $2,436,641, with 83% contributed by company equity. ESD's participation in this project is 15% of the total project costs, and I'm happy to take any questions.
All right. Any questions for Dan? Hearing none. No comments from the public. So I will move it. Francine will second it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Dan, did you have something pulled on my draft agenda I had the other day? You had 3 items.
Yep, we had Owens Brockway was something that we had presented earlier, but was pulled because we couldn't get the final paperwork submitted before today's meeting. So that we hope will be on next month's meeting.
Got it. All right, thanks, Daniel.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. We'll move over to the North Country region. Stephen Hunt, our Regional Director of the North Country.
Thank you, Chairman Law. Good morning, Directors. This morning, we're seeking a board approval of a $270,000 Regional Council capital grant to Omnia Advanced Materials to assist the specialty paper manufacturer with a $7 million project to purchase new machinery and equipment. The company produces a variety of products, including those used in the production of electronic circuit boards and automotive gaskets. And the project is going to allow Omnia to increase capacity and expand their markets. The project was also awarded a $473,000 Excelsior Jobs Program tax credit for the retention of 44 jobs and creation of 14 net new jobs. I toured a few weeks ago, and the project is completed and has exceeded its job requirements. And ESD is now recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for this project. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Stephen. Any questions for Steve? Hearing none. No comments from the public on this item, so I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any
Aye.
opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Stephen. We'll move over
Thank you.
to Mohawk Valley Region with Allison Madmoon, our regional director up there.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Directors. The Directors are being asked to approve a Round 11 Regional Council capital grant of up to $400,000 to be used for a portion of the cost of construction and machinery and equipment for Fiber Instrument Sales Expansion Project in Oriskany, Oneida County. Fiber Instrument Sales is a fiber optics equipment manufacturer that was formed in 1985 and has grown over the years to now serve over 11,000 customers in the U.S. and around the world. In April 2022, the company applied under Round 11 of the Mohawk Valley Regional Economic Development Council's consolidated funding application for the expansion of 3 of its existing manufacturing facilities. This project includes a 6,000 square foot addition at one location, 8,500 square foot addition at another, and 9,600 square foot addition at their third location. Important to note that they're all adjacent to one another, adjacent properties, and as well as the purchase of machinery and equipment to add a fiber optic cable extrusion line. This expansion project will allow Fiber Instrument Sales to retain their 293 existing employees and hire an additional 15 new jobs. The total budget for the project is $4.4 million, and ESD's participation in the project for this grant is 9% of project costs. The project is consistent with the MVRADC's strategy to grow investment in jobs and advance manufacturing in the Mohawk Valley. And I'd be happy to take any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Allison? None. No comments from the public on this item, so I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Allison. Move
Thank
over
you.
to the Capital Region, and we have Joseph Landry. He's an Economic Development Program Specialist for us.
Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, Directors. Today we are requesting the Directors approve a $300,000 grant to John D. Marcella and Son Appliances for a portion of the costs associated with the construction of a 30,000 square foot warehouse and distribution facility in Schenectady. The project was a Regional Council Round 11 award. The total project cost is $2.88 million. The company was also awarded $200,000 in Excelsior tax credits for the creation of 10 net new jobs in warehousing and distribution. Marcella's is a family-owned appliance retailer and wholesaler. The company sought assistance from New York to bridge a funding gap to construct the new distribution center, which was needed to provide additional storage to alleviate backlogs and accommodate the expansion of the business with an improved experience for wholesalers, developers, and other retailers in New York, Vermont, and Massachusetts. This project provided a solution to supply chain issues hindering projects throughout New York and the Northeastern United States post-COVID. The company committed to retain 66 existing jobs and create 10 new jobs. The company has already exceeded its job commitment, having created 14 new jobs. This project is consistent with the Capital Region RADC's strategic plan and the Council's growth strategy. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. Any questions for Joseph on this? Hearing done. We have no comment from the public, so I will move it. Michael seconds it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. It's approved. Thank you.
Thank
Move
you.
over to the Southern Tier with Omar Sanders, our Regional Director.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning, Directors. We're asking the Directors to approve 2 capital grants for the Neighborhood Depot Incorporated. These grants include $1 million from the Downtown Revitalization Initiative Round 3 and $424,000 from the Regional Council Capital Fund Round 9 for a total of $1,424,000 in ESD funding to support a $7,466,500 business investment project. The grant supports a downtown Owego gateway real estate development located at 146 Central Avenue in Owego, New York. The project scope includes acquisition, building, demolition, and the construction and renovation of a 15,000 square foot building to centralize and house several local not-for-profit organizations, creating a hub for Tioga County social service resources where clients of these organizations will be able to access services in one convenient location in downtown Owego. The not-for-profits occupying the depot will be able to share in the economies of scale not available to them individually. Additionally, the depot will serve as a community training center and an emergency shelter with temporary accommodations for up to 150 displaced residents. Francisco Racker Centers Incorporated is the beneficiary and main occupant. Racker manages 8 group homes in Tioga County, and the neighborhood depot will serve as a center for this operation. As the beneficiary, Racker is committed to maintaining 77 jobs and create 45 new full-time jobs by 2026. Both the grantee and the beneficiary are not-for-profit organizations. The project is consistent with the Southern Tier Regional Economic Development Council strategy that aims to invest in infrastructure that supports and enhances wraparound services to increase participation in the workforce and workforce training programs. And I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
Thank you, Omar. Any questions? None. No comment from the public. I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go over to the Mid-Hudson region. Eric Warren, he's our Senior Project Manager in the Mid-Hudson office.
Thank you, and good morning, Mr. Chairman and directors. The directors are being asked to approve a $400,000 Regional Council capital grant from Round 5 for the City of Yonkers Waterfront Walkway Trails Capital Project, located in the City of Yonkers, Westchester County. The City of Yonkers agreed to invest $3,470,008 to design and construct a recreational walkway trail along the western edge of the city's waterfront, which includes a streetscape project in the downtown Central Business District and rehabilitation of the iconic Yonkers Recreation Pier. The project is consistent with the MHRDC LIVE strategy through infrastructure improvements that stimulate job creation and retain and attract residents. The municipality has completed its work and is requesting disbursement of the grant. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions about this project at this time.
Any questions for Eric? Nope. No comment from the public. So I will move it. Lorraine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you.
Go over to, New York City. We have Joe Taswell with us today. Hey, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. This is a request for approval of a Regional Council capital grant of $1,339,000 to Pioneer Works Arts Foundation, an artist and science-led nonprofit cultural center in Red Hook, Brooklyn. The grant will be used in connection with the roughly $12.7 million cost to renovate and equip its 27,000 square foot historic building constructed in 1866 to make it more accessible to people with disabilities and to maximize the building's energy efficiency. This project is in alignment with state and regional strategies to support placemaking, downtown revitalization, and workforce development. Pioneer Works, founded in 2012, fosters innovative thinking through the visual and performing arts, technology, music, and science. The organization, which employs 55 full-time equivalents, presents a year-round calendar of public programs, classes, and visual art exhibitions, of which 85% are free and publicly accessible. Pioneer Works also provides free studio space to over 24 artists in residency annually. The project construction was largely focused on expanding ADA compliance, including the purchase and installation of an elevator to provide access to all floors of the building. Additional accessibility improvements include the installation of an ADA-compliant path to allow access to a 20,000 square foot garden, which hosts site-specific artworks and performances. As a result of this project, Pioneer Works is estimated to attract over 50,000 visitors per year and serve local elementary school students through STEAM, that's science, technology, arts, and math, education, programming. The project was completed this past December. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions for John? We have no comments from the public, so I will move it. Francine will second it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thanks, Joe. The Long Island region, Jenna DeMarco, Senior Project Manager from Long Island.
Yes, thank you and good morning. The directors are asked to approve a Round 9 Regional Council capital grant of up to $566,995 to Palamine Equestrian to pay for a portion of the cost of construction, renovation, infrastructure, and equipment for workforce development facilities in Islandia, Suffolk County. The applicant has completed the construction for a total cost of just over $2.8 million. Palamine is a nonprofit that began in 1995 that provides comprehensive therapeutic equine programs using horses to facilitate growth, learning, and healing to children and adults with disabilities, at-risk youth, survivors of trauma, the military, and the impoverished. It is one of the largest facilities of its kind in the nation. Their programs include equine-assisted psychotherapy, occupational, speech, and vocational therapy, and job readiness training for adults with disabilities, allowing individuals to enter the Long Island job market. And serve almost 200 individuals per week and could not serve any additional students in need. They applied for a grant for this project to expand offerings to workforce development and job readiness and independent living to its constituency. This workforce development project was a Round 9 priority project for the Regional Council. Palamine invested $2,834,976 in infrastructure and upgrades to 2 existing structures and surrounding spaces to make them ADA compliant, and added a 3rd building, in total almost 4,000 square feet, which allows them to serve more students. Palamine employs 10 full-time, 30 part-time, and over 125 volunteers. This project expanded their assisted programs to offer more job training, workforce preparedness, and internships, as well as vocational and life skills training to individuals with disabilities and high-risk youth. Palamine currently collaborates with the Suffolk County Criminal Court System, as well as Eastern Suffolk BOCES. With a new addition and upgrades, they are now serving an additional 200 people per week. This project was completed in September of 2024, and I am happy to take any questions.
Great. Thank you, Jenna. When I was chairing the Long Island REDC, we approved this in Round 9. Great company, great organization. So we have no comments from the public, no questions from the board members. So I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Jenna. Right,
thank you.
Move over to the Restore New York Communities Capital Grant. We have Simone Bethune and with 2 items for us.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning to everyone. For my first item, we are seeking director's approval for a Restore New York Round 7 $796,125.55 grant to the City of Rome in the Mohawk Valley region. The City of Rome will use funding for building demolition and related environmental consulting services of the former Columbus School building, which has been vacant for more than 2 decades. The project was complete in November 2024 at a cost of approximately $898,000, with the city contributing $102,565 in equity. The demolition of the building has removed what was a tremendous blight on the neighborhood and yielded approximately 2.8 acres of shovel-ready property situated along one of the city's designated main streets. It is expected that the project will induce commercial investment in the area and improve the local housing stock. Rome plans to undertake a feasibility study in 2025 to determine how best to utilize the cleared space to meet the needs of the community. For the next item, I'm seeking director's approval for a Restore New York Round 8, $10 million special project to the County of Albany in the Capital Region. A special project is defined under the Restore New York guidelines as a project that results from a severe economic injury to a moderately or highly distressed community, leaving a highly visible and blighted property or properties in the central business district, and having a depressing effect on the overall economic development potential of the community. While this type of grant is not typical for Restore New York, the program may sometimes fund a very limited number of projects at this level per round if they fall under the special project definition. The County of Albany will demolish the 11-story central warehouse at 143 Montgomery Street, which formerly served as a cold food storage warehouse and which has been vacant since 1990. The project will begin in early 2025 and complete at the end of this year at a cost of $12.9 million, and Albany will ensure a contribution of $2.9 million in equity to prepare the site for flexible local zoning that could facilitate a variety of residential, commercial, light industrial, and recreational uses. And I can take any questions.
So Simone, what is the county using the money for? The demolition cost?
This is for demolition, yeah.
Sorry?
This is for demolition, yes.
Got it.
Yes.
And then, what's gonna replace it?
Right now, there are no immediate plans for development at this time, but they're looking into multiple residential or commercial concepts.
Taking it down is enough.
Sorry?
Taking it down is enough. They said you see it
35
when
years.
You
Yeah.
see it when you come into Albany. It's a brutal eyesore that welcomes everybody in a not positive way. That's a big enough. Right now, it will be probably future uses, but getting it down is really.
And Mike, what the governor proposed in her State of the State to help Albany, could that maybe help facilitate something at this site?
If appropriate, yeah.
Cool. All right, great. Anybody have any questions for Simone? All right, we have no comments from the public. So I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Simone has some more. She always gets a bunch.
Myself here, just for the
Very
record.
good. So Simone is going to continue with the at the direction of projects, and Rob Simpson is recusing himself from the discussion or voting on item A and B.
At the direction of grants, refer to those commitments listed in the New York State budget that enhance the state's communities through cultural, educational, research and development, and civic organizations. These projects originate from the governor or the New York State Assembly or Senate, and ESD is named to administer the funding but does not select the recipients of funding. For the first item, we are requesting director's approval for a fiscal year 24-25 $750,000 local assistance award made available to Center State CEO, the primary economic, community, and business development catalyst in the central New York region, at the direction of Assemblymember Al Sturpey of the 127th District. This grant will be applied to objectives related to preparing the central New York region to respond to Governor Hochul's August 2022 passing of the Green CHIPS Act in concordance with the Federal CHIPS Act passed in the same month, which encourages and supports semiconductor manufacturing in New York State. The act pledges up to $10 billion in economic incentives for environmentally friendly green chips, semiconductor manufacturing and supply chain projects, alongside a host of shovel-ready sites. Center State CEO will use grant funds to attract national philanthropic funding that leverages the Green CHIPS Act through community engagement, involving small businesses' access to supply chain opportunities in these industries. Moving on to the next item, we're seeking director's approval for a fiscal year 2024-25 local assistance assembly-sponsored grant, also to Center State CEO, of $600,000 made at the direction of New York State Assemblymember Al Sturpey of the 127th District. This grant will be funding general operating expenses of the organization, also related to supporting priority industries such as unmanned aerial systems and semiconductor industries. Center State CEO will support state, city, and county residential development strategies, promote attainable housing solutions for the existing and expected workforce, and develop necessary financial tools to address critical funding gaps. Funds will be applied to these activities through December 2026. For the third item, we're seeking director's approval for a fiscal year 2024-25 grant of $750,000 to the United Way of Greater Rochester and the Finger Lakes, Inc., made at the direction of State Assembly member Harry Bronson of the 138th District of the New York State Assembly. United Way will use funds for operational expenses to support the Rochester Monroe Anti-Poverty Initiative, building collaborative capacity across systems in the Rochester Monroe community to address systemic poverty. During 2024, the organization identified mobility metrics by which the community's progress will be tracked. A 2025 report will focus on the work the Anti-Poverty Initiative has achieved over the past 10 years and its community impact. Funding will be applied to these activities through 2028. For the fourth item, we're seeking director's approval for a $968,000 local assistance award to the Arts Center and Theater of Schenectady, Inc., doing business as Proctor's Collaborative, also a fiscal year 2024-25 grant made at the direction of the New York State Assembly. This grant comes from the Alive Downtowns program, which supports performing arts venues across upstate New York, who unified in a coalition of 13 theaters to bring awareness to the financial insecurity they experienced in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. Proctor's Theater, located in Schenectady and built in 1926, began its life as a popular vaudeville show hall, drawing huge crowds and some of the era's most famous entertainers. The theater will apply funding to its operations through November 2024. And finally, we are seeking director's modification of a grant last brought before the board in July 2023. The modification will be to appropriate an additional $250,000 at the direction of the Executive Chamber to the existing $51 million grant to Adirondack North Country Sports Council for the 2023 Winter University Games. The funding is being made available from the New York Works Economic Development Fund and will be used to cover ongoing working capital close-down costs for the Games. The World University Games were held between January 12th through 22, 2023. More than 2,100 participants hailing from 48 nations competed in 12 sports and 85 medal events. In total, there were over 1,800 hours of coverage to 68 countries with an audience of 35 million and a workforce of over 200 paid staff and 1,800 volunteers. Thanks to the success of the World University Games, Lake Placid is now being considered as the backup site for the 2026 Olympic sliding events. We ask that the board approve this funding to successfully close out the games for the region. And I can take any questions.
Good. Thank you, Simone. Any questions for Simone? We don't have any comments from the public on any of these items, so I will move them all. Michael seconds them. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Betty Yee, our Senior Director of Entrepreneur Development, has an Entrepreneurship Assistance Center program presentation.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, directors, Mr. Chairman. The Entrepreneurship Development Program is requesting the board's authorization to implement and administer the EAC component of the New York State Small Business Credit Initiative and Technical Assistance Grant. This U.S. Federal Treasury managed program supports technical assistance for socially and economically disadvantaged small business owners and very small businesses. In November of 2023, the board approved ESD's acceptance of $10 million to administer this program under 5 different SBDT programs. The grant request is from the Entrepreneur Development component for a total of $2 million, where up to $500,000 will be granted to each of 4 EAC TA providers over a 3-year period. The selected centers will address barriers such as financial literacy, business accounting, and legal readiness, helping SETI-owned and very small businesses create new ventures and to access credit and expand operations. We have selected the following 4 centers for this initiative, representing 3 economic regions of the state. Western New York region goes to Westminster Economic Development Initiative. 2 to the New York City regions, going to Business Outreach Centers and Bedford-Stuyvesant Restoration Center in Brooklyn. And then 1 to Long Island region, going to Suffolk County Community College. We welcome any questions regarding this project.
Any questions for Betty? Hearing none. No comments from the public, so I will move it. Lorraine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Bet.
Thank you.
Christina Lopez from the Office of Strategic Workforce Development. There are 3 items, and we need 3 separate votes, I'm told.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, Directors. The Directors are being requested to approve the release of funding for the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's Pay for Performance Operating Grant Program to Perscolis, Inc. in the amount of $1 million. Perscolis, Inc. applied for a Pay for Performance Operating Grant through the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's Grant Funding Programs, and based on the recommendation of the Office and the ESD Commissioner, an incentive proposal was signed agreeing to provide $1 million in funding. This grant will allow Perscolis, Inc. to expand its existing IT support track technology training program from New York City to Western New York. Perscolis, Inc.'s 2-year program will provide IT support training for up to 110 students at the Buffalo campus, leading to entry-level IT jobs across the region. Certified credentials for Perscolis' IT support track technology trainings include industry-recognized CompTIA A+, and Google IT Support Professional certifications. Wraparound support services for this training will include career navigation skills support and instruction to assist trainees in attaining jobs and life skills support for home ownership, personal finance, and mental well-being, and participants will also be connected to community organizations that offer additional services. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for Perscolis, Inc. to carry out this project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? All right. No comments from the public. So I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Continue, Christina.
Thank you. The directors are being requested to approve the release of funding for the Office of Strategic Workforce Development Pay for Performance Operating Grant Program to the Economic Development Group, Inc., DBA Northland Workforce Training Center, or Northland, in the amount of $1 million. The Economic Development Group, Inc., DBA Northland Workforce Training Center, applied for a Pay for Performance Operating Grant through the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's grant funding programs, and based on the recommendation of the Office and the ESD Commissioner, an incentive proposal was signed agreeing to provide $1 million in funding. This grant will allow Northland Workforce Training Center to expand its existing programs to include training for new technologies coming online in the clean energy economy. Northland's Clean Energy Tech program will provide instruction for industry-recognized credential trainings in advanced manufacturing as well as renewable energy systems such as solar, wind, microgrids, battery storage, electric vehicle charging, and building automation. The Clean Energy Tech training program will serve approximately 189 eligible trainees over the course of 2 years. Northland Workforce Training Center will also provide trainees with wraparound support services such as childcare, transportation, mental health and substance abuse counseling, and financial assistance will also be provided. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for Perscolis, Inc. to carry out this project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? None. No comments from the public. I will move it. Francine will second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Last item, Christina?
Thank you. The directors are being requested to approve the release of funding for the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's Pay for Performance Program operating grant to Jamestown Community College in the amount of $822,601. Jamestown Community College applied for a Pay for Performance operating grant through the Office of Strategic Workforce Development's grant funding programs. And based on the recommendation of the office and the ESD commissioner, an incentive proposal was signed agreeing to provide $822,601 in funding. This grant will allow Jamestown Community College to work with industry partners to develop 9 advanced manufacturing pathways and 8 information and technology pathways trainings, each offering industry recognized credentials to meet local industry demand. Each course will enroll up to 6 students and will serve 150 over the course of 2 years. Recruitment for these pathways trainings will focus on underserved populations, including unemployed, underemployed, low income, and incumbent workers. Wraparound support services for Jamestown Community College's pathways training will include utilization of the college's free single parent reaching education to employment program, which will provide support for transportation, housing, food costs, and will also provide an on-site food pantry. The college will also employ its Career Services Department to provide students with access to job readiness workshops and job search and placement support. Jamestown's Workforce Investment Board will also assist with additional support services as well as job placement within the community. We are recommending that the board authorize the release of funds for Jamestown Community College to carry out this project. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? None. No comments from the public. I will move it. Benson seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you, Christina. All right. We're almost there, guys. Kirsten Eiler, our VP of Programs and Operations for our Connect All program.
Good morning, Chairman. Thank you, President Knight, Chairman Law, and members of the board for the opportunity to bring this matter to you today. The Connect All office is requesting the directors authorize 2 grant awards and the corresponding general project plans through our municipal infrastructure program. This program is funded through an award from the U.S. Department of Treasury's Capital Projects Fund. As noted in the materials, the 2 grants are for a total not to exceed amount of $36,993,293.00 to construct broadband infrastructure to serve over 20,000 locations in rural and urban areas of Cayuga, Portland, and Onondaga counties. These projects are consistent with ConnectAll's mandate to develop a robust internet marketplace that delivers affordable and reliable service equitably across the state. As a reminder, the board approved the guidelines for this program in September 2023 and previously approved a total of 7 projects totaling $122,720,992.30 in September 2024 and December 2024. With the approval of these 2 awards today, the total amount for these projects will be $159,714,285.30 to serve over 50,000 locations across 14 counties. The individual grantees, grant amounts, and project descriptions are enumerated in the director's materials, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Kirsten. Anybody have any questions? No, we don't have any comments from the public on this, so I will move it. Hope seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. Thank you. So we now have John Evan with 2 items that require 2 separate votes from the New Market Corporation.
Thank you, and good morning. As you may recall, although the Empire State New Market Corporation directors approve projects for New Markets tax credit purposes, the UDC Act requires the ESD directors to separately determine that any such projects would otherwise be approved by ESD and demonstrate one or more goals detailed in the materials. On December 19th, 2024, the ESNMC Board approved a federal New Markets Tax Credit allocation of up to $10 million to make investments to a borrower to finance the renovation of the headquarters for the Central Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, or CAVV, in Utica, New York, as well as improvements to the organization's Syracuse facility. Founded in 1929, CAVV, a nonprofit organization, serves people who are blind or visually impaired in Central New York, assisting them to achieve their highest level of independence through diverse services including vision care and rehab, occupational therapy, workforce training and adult education, technology training, adaptive living support, support services, and education services for children up to the age of 21. CAVV's business model mirrors a social enterprise by training and employing people who face barriers to employment in manufacturing and technology support, and utilizing the income generated to provide free or low-cost vision and health services. CAVV contracts with federal and state government agencies and private companies to create meaningful employment opportunities for individuals who are legally blind or visually impaired. CAVV's workforce is over 50% blind or visually impaired, and these employees work side by side with their sighted peers. The project is expected to retain 189 jobs and create 61 permanent full-time jobs. Pursuant to legislatively established criteria, ESD selects and prioritizes projects demonstrating certain goals. Based on the anticipated community impacts, the project was selected for its goals of creating and retaining jobs in low-income communities, increasing the provision of goods and services for low-income community residents, which would otherwise not be available at the same price or quality, and supporting environmentally sustainable outcomes. By adopting ESNMC's general project plan, finding the project achieved one or more of the goals, and making all other required findings, including conducting a hearing and an environmental review, the project would be authorized by the UDC Act and is being requested for approval by ESD today. Thank you, and happy to take any questions.
Thank you, John Evan. Anybody have any questions? And we have no comments from the public on this item either, so I will move it. Rob seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion carries. The next item is the item that Benson will be recusing and not participating in the discussion on. So, John Evan?
Thanks again. On December 19, 2024, the ESNMC Board also approved a federal New Markets Tax Credit allocation of $10 million to make investments to a borrower to finance the construction of Evergreen Health's new 36,000 square foot health center in Buffalo. The new health center will allow EHS and community access services to collectively provide more space and capabilities to welcome in additional patients. EHS Inc., a federally qualified health center lookalike, was founded by a group of volunteers in 1983 to address the HIV and AIDS crisis in Western New York. As breakthroughs in medical therapy were made for HIV and other STIs and STDs, the organization expanded its range of services beyond HIV care to meet additional healthcare needs of the community. Its unique model of care prioritizes treating the whole patient to improve health outcomes. EHS offers medical, behavioral, and supportive services across its system of 8 locations in Western New York. Community Access Services, an affiliate of EHS, has provided quality health care and supportive services to underserved communities in Buffalo and across Erie County since 2003. The primary focus of CAS's efforts is to reduce the prevalence of HIV, the hepatitis C virus, and sexually transmitted infections in these communities, working to develop targeted and culturally appropriate prevention, harm reduction, and linkage to care services, as well as HIV and HCV testing services. The project is expected to retain and create 55 permanent full-time jobs. Based on the anticipated community impacts, the project was selected for its goals of creating and retaining jobs in low-income communities, increasing the provision of goods and services for low-income community residents, which would otherwise not be available at the same price or quality, and supporting minority and women-owned or controlled businesses. By adopting ESNMC's general project plan, finding the project achieved one or more of the goals, and making all other required findings, including conducting a hearing and an environmental review, this project would be authorized by the UDC Act and is being requested for approval by ESD today. Thank you. Happy to take it.
Thank you. Any questions for John Evan? None. We have no comments from the public. Benson is recusing himself. I will move it. Lorraine seconds it. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion approved. All righty. Thank you, John Evan. All right. Last item are the administrative action items, and we have Doug Janice, our senior counsel, corporate and real estate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items.
Thank you, Chairman Law. Good morning, directors. As a reminder, in order to help streamline your board meetings, we implemented an oral summary presentation process in connection with the administrative action sections of the agenda. So you receive a full set of written descriptive materials for each of these items in your board materials, but rather than having individual oral presentations made on each, I will provide a brief summary of the items, and at the conclusion of that, we can entertain any questions or comments you may have. The 5 administrative items, action items of this month are summarized as follows. Item 8A is relative to authorization to make statutory payments pursuant to the New York State Electric Generation Facility Cessation Mitigation Program. The board is being asked to approve 3 payments pursuant to this program. These payments will offset reductions in property tax revenue to 3 local government entities due to the closure of the Somerset Electric Generating Facility in March of 2020. The first payment is to the Barker Central School District in an amount of $1,641,445. The second is to Niagara County in the amount of $521,546. And the third is to the town of Somerset in the amount of $245,579. Approval of these payments will bring total disbursements from the fund to approximately $99.6 million of the $140 million authorized for this program, leaving a program balance of approximately 29% of the authorized funding. Item 8B is relative to authorization to enter into a contract amendment with Market Ventures, Inc. for project implementation and support services for the Niagara Falls City Market project. The board is being asked to authorize a contract amendment with Market Ventures, Inc. for project implementation and support services related to the City Market project in Niagara Falls, New York. Market Ventures was originally competitively selected to provide outreach, concept design, a site plan, and final business plan report for the project last year. And the project is now ready to move into a formal design process with an A&E firm and to start implementing the business plan. Staff is seeking to retain Market Ventures to assist in this next phase of the project. The proposed amendment will be for 24 months for an amount not to exceed $171,143, bringing the total contract term to 42 months for an amount not to exceed $700,132. Item 8C is relative to authorization to enter into a contract with the Center for Regional Strategies for Western New York Planning and Implementation Support Services. Directors are being asked to authorize ESD to enter into an agreement with a team led by the not-for-profit Center for Regional Strategies for up to $350,000 per year for a 4-year term, or a total of $1.4 million. The team would provide ESD planning and implementation support services associated with a series of ongoing Western New York projects and programs, including implementation of the East Side Corridor's Economic Development Fund, the Regional Revitalization Partnership, the Niagara Falls Strategic Economic Development Fund, the Better Buffalo Fund, and annual planning and reporting associated with the Western New York Regional Economic Development Council. Item 8D is relative to authorization to enter into a contract with Applied Business Software, Inc. for a cloud-based loan servicing software solution. Directors are being asked to authorize ESD to enter into an agreement with Applied Business Software, Inc. to provide licensing, hosting, and support for upgraded loan servicing software to enable ESD's portfolio management group to service the loan portfolio comprised of loans issued by the corporation, the New York Job Development Authority, and the Empire State New Market Corporation. The term of this contract will be 5 years, with ESD having an option to extend this agreement for an additional 5-year term. The cost over the term and the additional optional term shall not exceed $365,500 in total. And our final item, item 8E, is relative to authorization to enter into a contract for third-party grant administrator services for the New York State Conditional Adult Use Retail Dispensary, or CARD, grant program. This program aims to provide card licenses, the first retail dispensaries to open for legal adult use cannabis sales in New York State, with funding for startup costs throughout the state. The program, totaling $5 million in funds, will be funded by a fiscal year 2019-2020 New York State budget appropriation and will be administered by ESD in partnership with the New York State Office of Cannabis Management. ESD is seeking to enter into a contract with Gioco Inc., doing business as Forward, a third-party grant administrator for the program, who will review applications with enhanced security and algorithms to reduce program costs and maximize the grants awarded to eligible card licensees with a contract amount not to exceed $320,000. The contract is not expected to exceed 1 year in duration, with the anticipation that the program will be complete by October 1st, 2025. With that, I will now turn it back to our chair, who will call for any questions or comments you may have on any of these items before calling for a vote. We also have item-related staff on the line to take any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. As for the last item, is that last item consistent with the guidelines and procedures we voted on about 90 minutes ago?
Yes.
Yes.
She said yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hope and Kevin.
Yes.
Anybody else have any questions? We have no comments from the public on any of these items. So I will move them, or we'll let Francine from the Great Western New York section of our state second it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. The motion for all of these items is approved. There's no further business, and officially, does any board member have any other business they'd like to raise at this time? Hearing none, I'll move to adjourn. Rob seconds it. Our next meeting is Thursday, February 20th here. So, all in favor of adjournment? Yes. We are adjourned. Thank you, staff and team, for another good meeting. All right. Thanks,
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.